I never planned to step outside Frosthold Palace that morning. 6 months I'd been here. 6 months of shelving scrolls, fetching documents, keeping my head down and my scent buried so deep that even I forgot what it felt like to breathe freely. I was a low-ranked Omega from a fractured bloodline, the kind of wolf the palace hired because we were cheap, quiet, and completely forgettable. Being invisible was my survival. It was the only way someone like me could exist in a place like this. Frosthold wasn't just any palace. It was the seat of the Alpha King. Daniel Frost ruled from these cold marble halls, and his presence alone could make seasoned warriors drop their gaze. I'd seen him exactly 3 times in 6 months. Each time, I'd pressed myself against the wall, held my breath, and prayed he wouldn't notice me. He never did. Until today. I woke up feeling strange. There was warmth blooming under my skin, a flutter of heat that shouldn't have been there. My suppressants were supposed to keep everything locked down tight. I'd taken them religiously every morning for years. But something felt different. Something felt alive. I told myself it was nothing. Just stress. Just the changing seasons. Just my imagination. I got dressed in white because the color made me feel calm. White was cool and soft against my skin. It reminded me of fresh snow, of quiet mornings, of peace. I pulled on the simple white dress without thinking twice. I didn't know white was a signal. I didn't know it amplified scent. I didn't know every alpha in the palace would be able to sense me the moment I stepped into the hallway. The corridor was empty when I walked toward the palace doors. I just needed air. Just one moment outside these suffocating walls. My fingers were reaching for the door handle when I felt it, that first crack in my suppressants, like ice breaking beneath my feet. My scent rose without permission. Warm, sweet, embarrassingly tender. I froze. Footsteps echoed behind me. Heavy, controlled, purposeful. My heart slammed against my ribs. Mira. His voice always cut through air like a blade, but this time it scraped against something deeper, something raw. I turned slowly. Daniel Frost stood at the end of the hallway. The Alpha King. 6 feet of controlled power wrapped in dark clothing, his silver eyes fixed on me with an intensity that made my knees weak. Then his gaze dropped to my dress. His breath faltered. The air between us shifted, thickened, charged with something I didn't understand. "Where the hell are you going dressed like that?" His voice wasn't calm anymore. It was rough, strained, like he was holding something back with both hands and losing his grip. I opened my mouth to answer, but no sound came out. My scent was rising stronger now, blooming around me like I'd been dipped in honey and set in the sun. Heat flushed across my skin. My pulse hammered in my throat. Daniel took a step toward me, then another. His scent hit me cold pine, winter storms, something ancient and dangerous that made every instinct in my body scream both run and stay. "I just wanted some air," I whispered. His jaw clenched. "In white. I didn't know." "You didn't know that white amplifies scent?" His eyes flashed silver. "You didn't know that every alpha in this palace can sense you right now?" Shame burned through me. "My suppressants are failing." He was closer now. Close enough that I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands were curled into fists at his sides. "How long?" "I don't know. Today, just today." A low sound rumbled from his chest. Not quite a growl, but close. My body responded without permission. Warmth pooling low in my stomach, my breath catching. This wasn't normal. This wasn't how alphas reacted to omegas. I'd been around alphas my whole life, and none of them had ever looked at me like this. Like I was air and he was drowning. Daniel's hand shot out and closed around my wrist. His touch burned. The moment his skin met mine, my scent exploded outward, filling the hallway with something so sweet and overwhelming that I heard doors slam shut in the distance. His pupils dilated. "Come with me," he said, his voice barely controlled. "Now." He pulled me down the corridor, away from the main palace, toward the sealed wing where only the royal family was allowed. My feet stumbled to keep up. His grip on my wrist was firm but careful, like he was holding something precious and breakable. We reached a door carved with frost patterns. He pushed it open and pulled me inside, slamming it shut behind us. The room was dim, cold, private. Daniel released my wrist and stepped back, putting distance between us. His chest rose and fell with harsh breaths. His eyes were still silver, still burning, What's happening? My voice shook. A partial bond. The words came out tight, controlled. Your scent triggered something in me. Something that shouldn't have been triggered. I don't understand. Neither do I. He dragged a hand through his dark hair. This doesn't happen. Not like this. Not without a claiming bite. Not without consent. Tears pricked my eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Don't apologize. His voice softened, and somehow that was worse. This isn't your fault, but it felt like my fault. Everything always felt like my fault. The heat under my skin was getting worse. My scent was still rising, still calling to him, and I could see what it was doing to him. The way his muscles tensed, the way his hands trembled slightly before he clenched them into fists again. I should go, I whispered. You can't. He turned away from me, bracing his hands against the wall. The moment you step outside this room, every unmated alpha in the palace will sense you. They'll lose control. People will get hurt. Then what do I do? Stay here. Stay close to me. My scent will mask yours enough to keep you safe. I pressed my back against the door, trying to make myself small, trying to disappear the way I always had, but I couldn't disappear anymore. Daniel turned to look at me, and the expression on his face made my breath stop. It wasn't anger. It wasn't disgust. It was hunger. Raw, desperate hunger mixed with something that looked like pain. I need you to understand something, he said quietly. What's happening between us right now is dangerous. The Frost bloodline has a curse. Every Alpha King who bonds with the wrong Omega loses control completely. They become feral. They destroy everything. Then I'll leave, I said quickly. I'll leave the palace. I'll go far away. It's too late. His voice cracked. The bond is already forming. Distance will only make it worse. How is that possible? We barely know each other. I don't know. He stepped closer. But I've been watching you for 6 months, Mira. Every time you walked past my study, every time you shelved books in the library, every time you thought you were invisible, my heart stopped. You noticed me? I couldn't stop noticing you. His hand lifted, trembling slightly, before he forced it back down. And I told myself it was nothing, that it would pass, that I just needed to stay away from you. Maybe you still should. I can't. The words came out broken. Not anymore. Before I could respond, footsteps echoed outside the door. Sharp, urgent. Someone knocked. Your Majesty. A woman's voice. Alara Voss, the king's chief advisor. We need to speak with you immediately. Daniel's expression hardened. Not now. It's about the Omega. Silence stretched between us like a blade. Daniel moved to the door but didn't open it. Mira is under my protection. The council has concerns. The council can wait. With respect, Your Majesty, they cannot. The entire palace is reacting to her scent. Guards are requesting reassignment. Staff members are calling in sick. This cannot continue. Shame burned through me again. I was causing chaos just by existing. Daniel's jaw clenched. Give me 1 hour. Your Majesty. 1 hour. Alara. The footsteps retreated. Daniel turned back to me, and I could see the conflict written across his face. The war between his instincts and his duty, between what he wanted and what he believed was right. I'm sorry, I whispered again. Stop apologizing. He crossed the room in 3 strides and cupped my face in his hands. His touch was gentle, reverent, like I was something holy instead of something broken. His scent wrapped around me pine and winter storms and safety. I need to figure this out, he said quietly. But right now, I need you to stay here. Stay safe. Can you do that? I nodded, not trusting my voice. His thumb brushed across my cheek. Just once, just barely. Then he stepped back, released me, and walked out of the room. The door clicked shut behind him. I slid down to the floor, wrapped my arms around my knees, and tried to understand what had just happened. A partial bond with the Alpha King. A bond that could destroy him. A bond that had formed the moment he saw me in white. I stayed in that sealed room for 3 hours. The silence was suffocating. I could hear my own heartbeat, my own breathing, my own thoughts spiraling into darker and darker places. Every few minutes, footsteps would pass by the door. Voices would murmur in the distance. But no one came inside. No one except Daniel. He returned as the sun began to set, carrying a tray of food I couldn't eat, and wearing an expression that made my stomach twist. "The council wants to relocate you," he said without preamble. I stood up slowly. "Where?" "A facility on the northern border. They call it a sanctuary for unstable Omegas." His voice dripped with disgust. "It's a prison. Maybe that's where I belong." His eyes flashed silver. "Don't say that. I'm causing problems. I'm making everyone uncomfortable. You're mine." The words came out fierce, possessive. Then he seemed to realize what he'd said and stepped back, running a hand through his hair. "I didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it?" "I don't know." He looked exhausted. "Torn apart?" "I just know that the thought of them taking you away makes me want to burn the council chambers to the ground." My breath caught. He crossed to the window and stared out at the darkening sky. "The bond is getting stronger. I can feel you even when you're not in the room. I can sense your fear, your confusion, your heartbeat. That's not possible. Neither is a partial bond forming without a bite. But here we are." I wrapped my arms around myself. "What happens now?" "I told the council I need time, that I need to consult with healers and historians, that I need to understand what's happening before we make any decisions." He turned to face me. "I bought us 3 days. And then? I don't know." The honesty in his voice hurt more than a lie would have. He moved closer, and I could see the exhaustion written in every line of his face. The Alpha King who never lost control was losing it piece by piece, and it was my fault. "I should refuse the bond," I said quietly. "I should tell them to take me away." "Do you want that?" "It doesn't matter what I want. It matters to me." I met his eyes. Silver stared back at me, burning with something I didn't have a name for. "I want you safe," I whispered. "Even if that means I have to leave." Something in his expression cracked. He closed the distance between us in 2 strides and pulled me against his chest. Not roughly, not desperately, just held me like I was the only solid thing in a world that was falling apart. His scent wrapped around me. His heartbeat thundered against my ear. "You smell like home," he murmured into my hair. "Like everything I've been missing my entire life." Tears burned behind my eyes. "Daniel, I know." His arms tightened around me. "I know this is wrong. I know this is dangerous. I know I should let you go." "Then why don't you?" "Because I'm selfish." His voice broke. "Because I've spent my entire life doing what's right for the kingdom. And for the first time, I want something just for me." My hands fisted in his shirt. We stood there in the dim room, wrapped in each other's scent, breathing each other's air, and I knew with absolute certainty that this would end in disaster. But I couldn't bring myself to pull away. That night, I didn't go back to my small room in the servants' quarters. Daniel insisted I stay in the sealed wing where his scent could keep masking mine. He gave me his sister's old chambers, a beautiful suite with soft fabrics and warm lighting that felt like a dream compared to the cold stone cell I'd been sleeping in. But sleep wouldn't come. I lay in the unfamiliar bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the bond pulse between us like a second heartbeat. I could sense Daniel somewhere in the palace, awake, restless, thinking about me the way I was thinking about him. Around midnight, I heard my door open. I sat up quickly, my heart racing. Daniel stood in the doorway, backlit by the hallway. He was still fully dressed, but his shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, his hair disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it for hours. "I couldn't stay away," he said roughly. "You should." "I know." But he didn't leave. He crossed the room slowly and sat on the edge of the bed, careful to keep distance between us. The mattress dipped under his weight. "Tell me about your family," he said quietly. The request caught me off guard. "Why?" "Because I want to know you. Not just your scent. Not just this bond. You." Something in my chest loosened. "The Hale line used to be powerful," I said softly. "We were advisors to the crown 3 generations ago. But my grandfather made a poor investment, lost everything. My father tried to rebuild, but he died before he could. My mother remarried into another struggling family. I have 2 half-siblings I haven't seen in years. And you came here to work. I came here to survive." I pulled my knees to my chest. Being invisible was easier than being pitied. His jaw clenched. "You were never invisible to me. You said you watched me. For months. He turned to look at me, and the raw honesty in his eyes made my breath catch. I told myself it was nothing. That I was just curious about the new staff member, that it would pass. But it didn't. It got worse. His voice dropped. Every time you walked past my study, I found excuses to look up. Every time you shelved books in the library, I positioned myself where I could see you. I learned your schedule, your habits, the way you tuck your hair behind your ear when you're concentrating. Heat flushed across my skin. That sounds like obsession? He laughed without humor. Because it was. I've been obsessed with you for 6 months, Mira, and I didn't understand why until today. The bond. No. He shook his head. The bond formed today. But whatever this is started long before that. My heart was racing now. What are you saying? I'm saying I think we were always meant to find each other. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. I'm saying I think the universe has a sick sense of humor. Because I'm low-ranked. Because you're perfect. His thumb brushed across my cheek. And I'm the one person who can't have you. The words hung in the air between us, heavy with truth and impossibility. I should have pulled away. I should have told him to leave. I should have protected us both from what was coming. Instead, I leaned into his touch. His breath caught. Mira, I know this is wrong, I whispered. I know this will end badly, but right now I don't care. Something fierce flashed in his eyes. His hand slid into my hair, cradling the back of my head. He leaned closer, his scent wrapping around me, his breath warm against my lips. If I kiss you right now, he said roughly, the bond will deepen. There will be no going back. Maybe I don't want to go back. His control snapped. He kissed me like a man drowning, like I was air and water and salvation all at once. His mouth was hot and demanding and gentle all at the same time. His hand tightened in my hair while his other arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me closer. I melted into him, my hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him down to me, needing him closer. Heat flooded through my body. My scent bloomed uncontrollably, mixing with his until the entire room smelled like us. Like home, like destiny, like disaster. The bond snapped into place with a force that made us both gasp. I felt it settle into my chest, wrapping around my heart like a vine. I could feel Daniel's emotions now, his desire, his fear, his absolute certainty that this was right even though it was wrong. He pulled back just enough to press his forehead against mine, both of us breathing hard. I'm never letting you go, he whispered. The council can burn. I laughed despite everything. You can't mean that. Try me. But before either of us could say anything else, alarms blared through the palace. Daniel's head snapped up. Stay here. What's happening? I don't know. He stood quickly, his expression shifting from soft to deadly in an instant. But I'll find out. He kissed me once more, quick and fierce, then disappeared through the door. I sat alone in the dark, the bond thrumming between us, and felt the first tendrils of real fear curl around my heart. Something was coming, something worse than council disapproval, something that would tear us apart. By morning, I understood what was happening. The council had called an emergency session. Daniel was summoned before dawn and didn't return. Hours passed, the sun rose higher, and still, I sat alone in that beautiful room, feeling the bond stretch tighter and tighter between us. Around noon, someone knocked on my door. Not Daniel. A woman entered tall, elegant, with ice-blue eyes and silver hair pulled back in a severe bun. Alara Voss, the king's chief advisor. She looked at me like I was something dirty she'd found on her shoe. Miss Hale. I stood quickly. Where's Daniel? His Majesty is occupied with matters of state. Her voice was cold, professional. I'm here to discuss your relocation. He said I had 3 days. That was before you deepened the bond. Her eyes narrowed. Did you think we wouldn't notice? The entire palace can sense it. The king's scent has changed. His behavior has changed. You're destroying him piece by piece. The words hit like physical blows. I didn't mean. Intent doesn't matter. Result does. She stepped closer. The council has made a decision. You will be relocated to the northern facility tonight. Transportation has been arranged. Daniel would never agree to that. His Majesty doesn't have a choice. She pulled out a document official, sealed with the royal crest. This order supersedes his authority. It's been signed by all 7 council members. My hands shook as I read it. The words blurred together, but the meaning was clear. I was being removed. Tonight, by force if necessary. You can't do this, I whispered. We're doing it to save him. Alara's expression didn't soften. The frost curse has destroyed every Alpha King who bonded with an unsuitable Omega. Daniel's great-grandfather went feral and had to be executed. His grandfather chose exile over watching himself lose control. The pattern is clear. I'm not unsuitable. You're low-ranked, unstable. Your suppressants failed because your bloodline is weak. She said it like fact, not insult. The moment that bond completes, Daniel will begin to deteriorate. Within months, he'll be unrecognizable. Within a year, he'll be dangerous. Tears burned behind my eyes. There has to be another way. There isn't. She turned toward the door. Pack your things. We leave at sunset. And if I refuse, then we'll sedate you. She paused in the doorway. This isn't personal, Miss Hale. This is survival. His survival. She left. I stood alone in that beautiful room, the bond aching in my chest, and made a decision that would haunt me for the rest of my life. I would run. Not to the northern facility. Not to some prison where they could study me like a broken experiment. I would run far away. Beyond the borders. Beyond anywhere they could find me. If distance could weaken the bond, if separation could save Daniel from the curse, then I would give him that gift. Even if it destroyed me in the process. I waited until the palace grew quiet, packed a small bag with essentials, changed into dark, practical clothing, and slipped out of my room like the shadow I'd always been. The corridors were empty. Most of the guards were stationed near the council chambers where Daniel was still trapped in meetings. I moved quickly, keeping to the servants' passages, my heart hammering against my ribs. I could feel Daniel through the bond, angry, frustrated, worried. He didn't know what I was about to do. I reached the eastern garden gate just as the sun began to set. My hands shook as I picked the lock, a skill I'd learned growing up poor. The gate swung open silently. Freedom lay just beyond it, and I hesitated, because leaving meant never seeing Daniel again. Never feeling his arms around me. Never hearing him say my name like it was the only word that mattered. But staying meant watching him deteriorate, watching the curse take him, watching him lose everything because of me. The choice wasn't really a choice at all. I stepped through the gate, and the bond screamed. Pain lanced through my chest so sharp I stumbled. Behind me, somewhere in the palace, I heard Daniel roar. The sound was raw, primal, broken. He knew. I ran. Through the gardens, into the forest. My feet pounded against earth and leaves and stones. Tears streamed down my face. The bond stretched and stretched and stretched, growing more painful with every step. I could feel Daniel's panic, his rage, his desperation. I ran harder. The forest grew darker, colder. I didn't know where I was going, only that I needed to get far away. Far enough that the council couldn't find me. Far enough that Daniel would be forced to move on. Far enough that I could die quietly without dragging him down with me. But I wasn't alone in the forest. I smelled them before I saw them. Rogue alphas. 3 of them. Emerging from the shadows like predators who'd scented prey. My unstable scent had drawn them like moths to flame. Well, one of them drawled. He was tall, scarred, with wild eyes that gleamed in the dying light. What do we have here? I backed away slowly. Stay away from me. An Omega in heat. Another one stepped closer, leaner, meaner, with a smile that made my skin crawl. Unbonded, unprotected, lost. I'm not in heat. Your scent says otherwise. The third one circled behind me, cutting off my escape. Sweet, desperate, calling to us. The bond pulsed in my chest. I could feel Daniel's fury through it. He was coming. He was fighting his way free of the council chambers. He was too far away. The first alpha lunged. I dodged, but barely. His hand caught my arm, yanking me back. I screamed, fought, clawed at his face. Feisty, he laughed. Then his hand was on my throat, squeezing. My vision blurred. This was how I died, alone in a forest, trying to save someone who couldn't be saved. But then a roar split the night. Not from Daniel. From something else entirely. A massive wolf burst through the trees, silver fur, eyes like moonlight, power radiating from every line of its body. It hit the alpha, holding me with enough force to shatter bones. The others scattered, disappearing into the forest as quickly as they'd appeared. The wolf shifted. A woman stood where it had been tall, fierce, with Daniel's eyes and his silver hair. "You must be Mira," she said calmly. I collapsed. She caught me before I hit the ground. "My brother is going to burn the kingdom down looking for you," she said. "Come on, let's get you somewhere safe." "No," I gasped. "I can't go back. The curse is a lie." She lifted me easily. "And I'm going to prove it to you." Everything went dark. I woke in a small cabin that smelled like herbs and wood smoke. My body ached. My throat was bruised. But I was alive. The woman from the forest sat in a chair by the window, watching me with those familiar silver eyes. "I'm Alira," she said. "Daniel's sister." I tried to sit up. "Where?" "About 50 miles from Frosthold. Deep enough in neutral territory that the council won't find you immediately." She stood and poured water into a cup. "Drink." My hands shook as I took it. "Why did you help me?" "Because my brother loves you." She said it simply, like it was obvious. "And because I'm tired of watching the council manipulate him with lies. The curse isn't a lie." "Yes, it is." Alira sat on the edge of the bed. Or rather, it's a half-truth twisted into something monstrous. I stared at her. She sighed. "The Frost bloodline does have a condition. We bond deeper than other alphas. Faster, more intensely. When we find our true mate, the connection is overwhelming. That's what happened with Daniel." "Yes. But here's what the council doesn't want you to know." Her expression hardened. Every alpha king who supposedly went feral from an unsuitable bond was actually poisoned. Slowly, systematically, over months and years. The water nearly slipped from my hands. "What? The council has spent generations controlling the throne by controlling who the king bonds with. They choose high-ranked, politically advantageous Omegas. And when a king chooses someone they don't approve of," she leaned closer, "they eliminate the threat. Sometimes the Omega dies mysteriously. Sometimes the king does. Always, the curse gets blamed." Horror crawled up my spine. "That's impossible." "I have proof." She pulled out a worn journal. "My grandfather kept records. So did my father. They both suspected. They both tried to investigate. And they both died before they could expose the truth." She opened the journal, showed me pages of careful documentation. Names, dates, symptoms. Autopsy reports that didn't match the official records. Evidence of murder dressed up as destiny. "The council wants you gone," Alira said quietly. "Not because you'll hurt Daniel, because you're the first person he's chosen for himself in 3 generations. You're a threat to their power." I couldn't breathe. "I need to tell him." "You can't." She gripped my shoulders. "If you go back now, they'll kill you both. We need time. We need allies. We need to build a case strong enough that even the council can't deny it." "How long?" "Weeks. Maybe a month. I can't stay away from him that long." The bond was already aching, pulling at me like a physical wound. "The separation will destroy us both." "I know." Her expression softened. "But it's the only way to keep you both alive." Before I could respond, pain lanced through my stomach. Sharp, sudden, devastating. I doubled over with a gasp. Alira caught me. "What's wrong?" "I don't..." Another wave of pain hit. "Something's wrong." She pressed her hand to my forehead. Her eyes widened. "Your scent. It's changing." "What?" "You need a healer. Now." She lifted me again and carried me to a small car hidden behind the cabin. The drive was a blur of pain and confusion. I could feel the bond screaming between Daniel and me, his panic mixing with mine until I couldn't tell where I ended and he began. We reached a traveling clinic as dawn broke. Alira carried me inside and demanded to see their best healer immediately. An older woman, kind eyes, gentle hands examined me while I tried not to pass out from the pain. She went very still. "What is it?" Alira demanded. The healer looked at me with a mixture of awe and fear. "Mira," she said softly, "you're pregnant." The world stopped. "That's impossible," I whispered. "The bond accelerated your cycle. The healer's hands trembled slightly as she continued her examination. And the child? She paused. The child's pheromone readings are unlike anything I've ever seen. What does that mean? Alira asked sharply. It means this child is powerful. The healer met my eyes. Impossibly powerful. An apex alpha heir with dormant abilities that should take years to manifest. But I'm reading energy signatures already. Pressure waves. Sent pulses strong enough to affect the physical world. I pressed my hand to my stomach. Daniel's child. Our child. A child that should never have existed. The council can never find out about this, Alira said urgently. If they discover Mira is pregnant with Daniel's heir, they'll kill her. The healer finished grimly. And they'll kill the child. I started laughing. It came out broken and bitter and edged with hysteria. I ran away to save Daniel from the curse, I said. And now I'm carrying a child that could either save him or destroy everything. Alira gripped my hand. We'll figure this out. How? The bond is getting worse. The separation is tearing us apart. And now there's a baby. My voice cracked. A baby that the council will hunt the moment they learn it exists. Then we make sure they don't learn. Alira's expression hardened with determination. We keep you hidden. We keep you safe. And we give Daniel time to dismantle the council from within. He'll never stop looking for me. I know. She squeezed my hand. Which is why I'll go back and tell him you're alive. That you're safe. That he needs to trust me. He won't listen. He will. Her eyes flashed silver. Because I'm the only family he has left. And because deep down, he knows I'm right. She left that afternoon, and I stayed in that small clinic, my hand pressed to my stomach, feeling our child pulse with power I didn't understand, feeling the bond stretch and ache and beg me to go back, feeling my heart break into smaller and smaller pieces. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of hiding in a clinic that felt more like a cage. 3 weeks of feeling Daniel through the bond, his anguish, his rage, his slow spiral into something dark and dangerous. Alira visited when she could, brought supplies, brought news. Daniel wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating properly, spent every waking moment searching for me while the council watched him deteriorate with barely concealed satisfaction. He's in rut, Alira told me during her 3rd visit. Separation rut. It's killing him. I pressed my hand to my stomach. The baby was growing faster than normal. Already, I could feel its power pulsing through me. Little waves of pressure that made the healers nervous. I need to go back, I said. Not yet. Alira's expression was grim. We're close to exposing the council. Just a few more weeks. He doesn't have a few more weeks. I stood, steadier now. And neither do I. She stared at me. The bond isn't weakening, I continued. It's getting stronger. The baby is strengthening it somehow. Every day I stay away, it gets worse for both of us. If you go back now, they'll separate you permanently. Then I'll fight them. Something shifted in her expression. Pride, maybe, or respect. You love him. It wasn't a question. More than anything, I whispered. More than safety. More than survival. More than sense. Alira smiled. Good. Because he's going to need that love to get through what's coming. She helped me pack, arranged a car, and drove me back to Frosthold under cover of darkness. I'll go in first, she said as we approached the palace. Create a distraction. Get you to Daniel's private chambers. Once you're together, the bond will stabilize. That should buy us time. And the council? Leave them to me. Her smile was sharp. I've been collecting evidence for months. Tonight, they answer for their crimes. We slipped through a servant's entrance. The palace felt different. Darker, emptier, like the heart of it had stopped beating. Alira led me through corridors I didn't recognize, past guards she distracted with orders, until we reached a door I'd never seen before. This is Daniel's private wing, she whispered. No one comes here without permission. You'll be safe. Where is he? Her expression turned pained. Locked in his chambers. The council insisted. They said he was becoming dangerous. Rage burned through me. They chained him? Sedated him too. But the drugs aren't working anymore. Nothing works when a bonded alpha is separated from their mate. She gripped my shoulders. Be careful, Mira. He's not himself right now. The rut has taken over. He might not recognize you immediately. I'm not afraid of him. You should be. But she opened the door anyway. The room beyond was dark, cold. I could smell blood and sweat, and something wild that made my instincts scream. Daniel was chained to the wall. My heart shattered. He was barely recognizable. His hair was wild. His eyes were silver fire. His body was covered in sweat and trembling with barely restrained power. He looked up as I entered. Went very, very still. Mira. My name came out broken, desperate, like a prayer from a dying man. I crossed the room in seconds, dropped to my knees in front of him. His scent wrapped around me, distorted by rut, but still fundamentally Daniel. Still mine. I'm here, I whispered. I'm here. His chains rattled as he strained toward me. You left. I know. You left me. I'm sorry. I couldn't breathe without you. His voice cracked. I couldn't think, couldn't sleep, couldn't exist. Tears streamed down my face. I was trying to save you. I don't want to be saved. He leaned forward until his forehead pressed against mine. I want you. Only you. Always you. The bond snapped tighter. Our scents tangled together. The baby pulsed with approval. Daniel, I breathed. There's something I need to tell you. Later. His eyes were wild, desperate. I need you now. I need to know you're real. I reached up and touched his face. He shuddered at the contact. Find the key, he said roughly. Free me, please. I searched the room until I found it on a table near the door. My hands shook as I unlocked his chains. The moment he was free, Daniel pulled me into his arms, held me so tight I couldn't breathe. His face buried in my neck, breathing in my scent like it was oxygen. Never again, he whispered against my skin. Never leave me again. I won't. Promise me. I promise. He pulled back just enough to look at me, to really look at me, and I saw the moment he noticed the change. His eyes dropped to my stomach. His hand followed, pressed flat against where our child was growing. He went absolutely still. Mira, he breathed. Are you pregnant? I covered his hand with mine. With your child. Our child. The expression that crossed his face was indescribable. Awe, fear, joy, love so fierce it burned. How long have you known? 3 weeks. His jaw clenched. You knew for 3 weeks and didn't tell me? I was protecting you. I don't need protection. I need you. He cupped my face in both hands. Both of you. The baby pulsed. Daniel's eyes widened. I felt that. The healers say the child is powerful. More powerful than should be possible. Because it's ours. He pressed his forehead to mine again. Because it's the first true frost heir in 3 generations. The council can burn in hell. His voice was steel. They tried to separate us. They tried to destroy what we have. They tried to convince me you were dangerous. Maybe I am. Then we'll be dangerous together. He kissed me softly, gently, like I was something precious. I'm not letting them take you. Not again. Not ever. Before I could respond, the door burst open. Elira stood there, her expression urgent. We have to go. Now. The council knows Mira is back. They're coming with guards. Daniel stood, pulling me with him. His body positioned protectively in front of mine. Let them come, Daniel. I'm done running, done hiding, done letting them control my life. His eyes flashed silver. It's time they learned what happens when you threaten a Frost King's mate. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. The baby pulsed again, stronger this time. So strong that the air rippled. Daniel's hand pressed against my stomach. Easy, little one, he murmured. Save your strength. You're going to need it. The doors slammed open, and the council walked in to face a king they should never have crossed. 7 council members entered the room. Ilara Voss led them, her expression carved from ice. Behind her came the others, Maelis Vorn, Arin Lys, 3 more whose names I'd never learned, and 1 younger man whose eyes held something I recognized. Fear, your majesty, Ilara said coldly. Step away from the Omega. Daniel's laugh was dark. No, that is not a request. And this is not a negotiation. He moved in front of me completely, blocking me from view. Mira is under my protection. She stays with me. She's destabilizing you. The entire palace can sense it. What I sense is manipulation. His voice dropped to something dangerous. What I sense is treason. The council members exchanged glances. We've served this kingdom for generations, Malus Vorn said carefully. We've only ever acted in the crown's best interest. Is that what you call poisoning kings? Elira stepped forward, holding a stack of documents. Because I have evidence that says otherwise. The temperature in the room dropped. Those are private council records, Elira said sharply. Stealing them is a crime. So is murder. Elira threw the documents onto the table. 3 generations of Frost Kings. 3 generations of mysterious illnesses and premature deaths. All occurring right after they bonded with Omegas the council didn't approve. Coincidence? Is it? Daniel picked up one of the documents. My great-grandfather died 6 months after bonding with a common Omega. Symptoms included paranoia, aggression, loss of control. The official cause was listed as curse manifestation, because that's what it was, Oren Lease interjected. Then explain the arsenic found in his food. Daniel's eyes flashed. Explain the sleeping draughts mixed with accelerants. Explain the poison detected in his chambers. Silence. You had no right to investigate, Elira began. I had every right. Daniel's voice was steel. This is my bloodline. My kingdom. My family that you've been systematically destroying. We were protecting the throne. You were controlling it. He stepped closer. You were ensuring that only your chosen candidates bonded with Frost Kings. That only high-ranked, politically connected Omegas could become queens. That the council maintained power through manipulation. That's not. It is. He slammed his hand on the table. And it ends tonight. The baby pulsed. Everyone in the room felt it. A wave of pressure so strong that 2 council members stumbled. Elira's eyes went wide. What was that? Daniel's hand moved protectively to my stomach. That was my heir, reminding you that some things are beyond your control. She's pregnant. Elira's voice turned cold with rage. You got her pregnant. I bonded with her. My mate. My choice. Your death sentence. Malus stepped forward. That child will amplify the curse. It will destroy you both. There is no curse, Elira said sharply. Only your crimes dressed up as destiny. We were protecting yourselves. Daniel cut him off. You were protecting your power, your influence, your comfortable positions. The baby pulsed again. Harder. The windows rattled. The air grew thick. My scent spiked uncontrollably, filling the room with something ancient and undeniable. Proof that our child was different. Proof that this was something the council couldn't fight. Guards, Elira called. Seize the Omega. The door burst open. Armored wolves poured in. Daniel roared. Not loud, but deep, deadly. A sound that resonated in every bone, every cell, every instinct. The guards stopped mid-stride. Anyone who touches her dies, Daniel said quietly. That's not a threat. That's a promise. The lead guard hesitated. Sir, our orders. Superseded. Daniel's eyes burned silver. By the Alpha King's direct command. Stand down. They didn't move. Elira smiled coldly. They answer to the council now. Not to you. Is that treason? Daniel asked softly. Because it sounds like treason. It's preservation. She gestured. Take her. The guards moved forward. The baby screamed. Not audibly. But every wolf in the room felt it. A pulse of pure power that drove the guards to their knees. That cracked the windows. That sent pressure waves rippling through the air like a stone dropped in still water. I gasped, pressing my hand to my stomach. Mira? Daniel was beside me instantly. Are you all right? The baby, I breathed. It's protecting us. Impossible, one of the healers whispered. Unborn children can't manifest power. This one can. Elira's voice held awe. Because it's a true Frost heir. The first in 3 generations. The baby pulsed again. This time, something in the room changed. The air grew heavy with St. Daniel's winter storms and my warm sweetness. But underneath it, something new. Something powerful. The scent of an apex alpha. Not yet born. Already dominant. The guards backed away slowly. This is unnatural, Malus said, fear creeping into his voice. This is destiny, Daniel corrected. This is what happens when a Frost King bonds with his true mate, instead of your political puppet. Alara's face twisted. You're making a mistake. The only mistake was trusting you. He turned to the guards. Arrest the council members. Charges of treason, attempted murder, and conspiracy to harm the crown. No one moved. That's an order, Daniel said coldly. Still nothing. Then the youngest council member, the one who'd looked afraid, stepped forward. I'll testify, he said quietly. I have records too. Communications, plans, evidence of everything they've done. Alara turned on him. Coward. Survivor. He met her glare steadily. I'm done watching you destroy good people for power. Something shifted. The guards looked at each other, made a choice, and moved to surround the council instead of us. You can't do this, Alara hissed as they bound her wrists. The kingdom will fall. The kingdom will heal, Daniel said, without you poisoning it from within. They dragged the council members out, all except the young one who'd spoken up. He stayed behind, looking exhausted. Thank you, Daniel said. Don't thank me yet. He glanced at me. The kingdom won't accept her easily. Not after everything that's been said. Then the kingdom will learn. Daniel pulled me closer. Because she's not going anywhere. Alira moved to the door. I'll handle the announcements. Prepare the kingdom. Give you time to... The baby pulsed again. So hard that the floor trembled. I doubled over with a cry. Daniel caught me. Mira, something's wrong, I gasped. It hurts. A healer rushed forward, pressed her hands to my stomach. Her eyes went wide. The child is trying to stabilize the bond. It senses the stress, the danger. It's attempting to protect you both. She looked up at Daniel. But it's too young, too powerful. It's burning through energy it doesn't have yet. What do we do? Daniel's voice was raw. Complete the bond. The healer met his eyes. Fully, permanently. Give the child the stability it's sensing you both need. How? The claiming bite. She stood. It needs to happen now, before the child exhausts itself trying to force what should occur naturally. Daniel looked at me. I looked back, and nodded. He lifted me gently, carried me to his private chambers, laid me down on soft blankets that smelled like us. Are you sure? He whispered. I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed me then, deep and claiming and gentle all at once. His hands trembled as they cradled my face. I love you, he breathed against my lips. From the moment I saw you in white, maybe even before that. I love you too. He kissed down my neck, found the spot where my shoulder met my throat. The place where a claiming bite would seal us together permanently. His teeth grazed my skin. The baby pulsed with approval, and Daniel bit down. The bond completed with a force that shook the entire palace. I felt it slam into place, not gradually, not gently, but like a tidal wave that swept away everything in its path. Daniel's emotions flooded through me. His love, his fierce protectiveness, his absolute certainty that this was right. And I knew he felt mine too. The baby settled immediately, stopped pulsing with frantic energy, began growing with a calm, steady power that felt content. Daniel pulled back, licking the bite wound closed. His eyes were still silver but calmer now, satisfied. How do you feel? He murmured. Complete. I touched the mark on my neck. Like everything finally makes sense. He gathered me close, pressing his face to my hair. I'm never letting you go. Good. We stayed there for hours, just breathing each other in, feeling the bond hum between us like a living thing, feeling our child rest peacefully. Finally, inevitably, the world intruded. Alira knocked softly. The kingdom is waiting. Daniel helped me dress in something beautiful, not white this time, but deep blue that made my eyes look bright. He dressed in formal blacks, then took my hand and led me through the palace corridors. We emerged onto a balcony overlooking the main courtyard. Thousands of wolves had gathered, some curious, some angry, some afraid, all waiting. Daniel's hand tightened on mine. Together? Always. He stepped forward. His voice carried across the courtyard, amplified by alpha authority. My people, for generations you've been told lies. You've been told that the frost curse would destroy any king who chose his own mate. You've been told that only council-approved bonds were safe. He paused. Tonight I tell you the truth. Silence. The curse is a fabrication, a tool used by corrupt council members to control the throne, to control me, to control every Frost King who came before me. His voice rang with conviction. The real danger was never love. It was murder, poison, systematic elimination of anyone who threatened the council's power. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I have evidence. I have witnesses. I have proof that 3 generations of Frost Kings were killed by the very people sworn to protect them. He held up documents. And tonight, that ends. More murmurs. Louder now. This is Mira Hale. He pulled me forward gently. She is my bonded mate, my chosen queen, and the mother of my heir. Gasps echoed through the courtyard. She is low-ranked. She is common. She is everything the council told you I should never choose. His arm wrapped around me. And she is perfect. She is brave. She saved my life by running, and she saved my soul by coming back. Tears burned behind my eyes. Some of you will not accept her. Some of you will believe the lies that have been spread. His voice hardened. Those wolves are welcome to leave my kingdom, because I will not tolerate disrespect toward my mate. I will not tolerate prejudice. I will not tolerate any threat to her or our child. The baby pulsed gently. A wave of scent rolled across the courtyard, mine and Daniel's, and something new. Something powerful. The scent of an apex alpha heir. Wolves dropped to their knees. Not from submission. From recognition. From instinct. From the undeniable proof that our child was something extraordinary. This is my declaration, Daniel said quietly. Mira is queen. Our child is heir. Anyone who challenges this challenges me directly. He paused. And I don't lose. Silence stretched. Then one wolf stepped forward. An elderly woman with kind eyes. Long live the king, she said clearly. Long live the queen. Another voice joined hers. Then another. Then dozens. Hundreds. Long live the king. Long live the queen. Not everyone joined the chant. Some wolves remained silent. Some slipped away into the darkness. But enough stayed. Enough believed. Enough accepted. Daniel pulled me against his chest. Kissed my temple. Whispered words only I could hear. You did it. You survived. You came back. You gave me everything. We gave each other everything. I corrected softly. The baby pulsed with agreement. Daniel's hand spread across my stomach. Our family. Our family, I echoed. We stood there on that balcony as the crowd dispersed. As the palace slowly returned to something resembling normal. As our bond hummed with satisfaction and our child grew strong and safe. Later, back in our private chambers, Daniel held me close. They'll still come for us, he said quietly. Not everyone accepts this. The council had allies, supporters, people who benefited from their control. I know. There will be challenges, threats, danger. I know that too. He pulled back to look at me. And you're still not afraid? I'm terrified, I admitted. But I'm not leaving. Not again. Never again. Promise me. I promise. He kissed me then, deep and claiming and full of promises we'd spend our lives keeping. The baby pulsed. And somewhere in that moment, between heartbeats, between breaths, between the darkness outside and the warmth within, I understood something fundamental. This was always meant to happen. The moment I stepped into that hallway wearing white, the moment Daniel saw me and his control shattered, the moment our scents collided and the bond sparked between us, we were always meant to find each other. We were always meant to fight for this. We were always meant to choose love over fear, even when it was dangerous, even when it was impossible, even when the entire world said it was wrong. Where the hell were you going dressed like that? Daniel had asked. And the answer turned out to be simple. Toward him, toward us, toward a destiny that began with white fabric and ended with a kingdom transformed. 3 months later, the baby was growing stronger every day. The healers said it would be born early apex, alphas always were. That we had maybe 2 more months before our child entered the world. I spent my days learning to be queen, learning to navigate court politics, learning to stand beside Daniel with confidence instead of fear. He spent his days rebuilding the council, installing wolves he trusted, creating systems that couldn't be manipulated. Together, we spent our nights tangled in each other, talking about the future, feeling our child move and pulse with power. Life wasn't perfect. Some wolves still rejected me, still whispered that I wasn't good enough, still believed the lies. but more accepted me than didn't. More saw Daniel's happiness and chose to support it. More recognized our child's power and understood that something unprecedented was happening. Tonight, Daniel found me standing on the balcony where we'd made our declaration. His arms wrapped around me from behind, his hands covering mine on my swollen stomach. "What are you thinking about?" he murmured. That morning, when I put on white, the moment my life changed, the moment everything changed, I leaned back against him. I was just trying to feel calm, to feel like myself. And instead, you became mine. We became each other's. I corrected. The baby kicked. Daniel laughed. "Someone agrees with you. She usually does." "She?" I turned in his arms. The healers confirmed it today. "We're having a daughter." The expression on his face was indescribable. Wonder, joy, terror. "A daughter," he breathed. "A very powerful daughter. Who will have her mother's strength and her father's stubbornness? Who will change the world?" Daniel cupped my face in his hands. "She already has. Just by existing." He kissed me softly. The bond hummed between us. The baby, our daughter, pulsed with contentment. And somewhere in the palace below, I heard wolves singing the old songs. The ones about true mates, about bonds that couldn't be broken, about love that conquered fear. Songs I'd thought were just stories. Songs I now knew were truth. "Where the hell are you going dressed like that?" Daniel had asked, and I'd had no answer. But now I did. I was going exactly where I needed to be. Home. If you felt every moment of this story in your bones, if you held your breath through the danger and smiled through the love, then I need you to do something for me. Subscribe to Ariel Romance Library. Because Daniel and Mira's story isn't over. There's still a daughter to be born, a kingdom to rebuild, enemies waiting in shadows, and a bond that will be tested in ways we haven't even begun to explore, and you won't want to miss it. Subscribe now, and welcome to the pack.